it finally seems like the SEC has caught up to, if you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. And I wondered when this was going to happen because, well, you and I have watched players go down with what looks like a fake injury, and that has led to an official's timeout, which does not charge timeout to either team, but also slows the play down, particularly after you've seen the offense, the opposing offense, have an explosive play for a first down or an explosive play to put themselves in position to go up tempo and fast and not give the defense an opportunity to sub out so that they might be able to match personnel for whatever it is that their weakness has been exploited. Like, I understand gamesmanship. I think we all understand gamesmanship, but we're not stupid, right? There's gamesmanship, which is what Clemson was doing when they were stealing signs based on what they could see from the sideline. And there is cheating, which is what Michigan was doing for 3 years with Connor Stallions, videotaping people's signals, deciphering them, and then telling you what the play was going to be when it was time to play that program. In the SEC, we've had teams faking injuries, it feels like, for some time now. And only here recently, when you got to hear the national broadcasters say, enough of this is garbage, please stop it, does Greg Sankey come out and finally say what the hell everybody else wants to say, which is, all right, if we find that you have stopped the game with a fake injury, we're fining the head coach $50,000. We find out you're doing it a second time, we're fining the head coach $100,000. And if we find out you're doing it a third time, we're suspending him for the next game. We have to put an end to this. And I really enjoy that Sankey finally got around to doing this because nobody wants to be the person claiming that somebody is faking an injury on a football field. I understand that, right? It's like being called a racist in broad daylight. Like, what for? Why? For what? For who? Who's that for? But then when it becomes clear that an offensive lineman has been checking the sideline to look for a signal and then all of a sudden drops to the ground like a pile of bricks, starts grabbing a hamstring or grabbing a knee, and then walks off under their own power and comes back in the very next play, yeah, dog, that's called faking an injury. That's what that is. That's what that means. And I want this understood because there are going to be levels to this. So what they said was, in a statement, Ole Miss has been really in national broadcasts where they've been seen with this stuff, and nobody likes it. And Ole Miss felt they needed to send a statement out on October 11th, which is damn near 2 weeks ago, saying, quote, feign injuries has become a notable topic in college football. You don't say. And we realize our program has been part of that discussion. You don't say. We have been in communication with the national coordinator for football officiating and provided relevant medical information for his review to answer questions about recent injuries. We have also updated the SEC office, and our head coach will communicate with our coaches and players to ensure that we conduct ourselves properly and are more compliant in this matter. And then, Shane Beamer came out with what I thought was a really good take. It's fascinating to see how many injuries occur for them, meaning Ole Miss, after the opposing offense makes a first down and has a big play. Like, dog, we see this on film, right? And I think Greg Sankey sent out a memo that says that you're creating timeouts instead of using your own. That's BS. We need to stop, play football, and stop feigning the injuries. But also, lay it out for folks. A feigned injury, quote, will be found to have occurred unless the national coordinator accepts clear medical information establishing the player had to disrupt the game for an injury timeout and modifies the feigned injury finding in a timely manner. Saying, all right, provide us a doctor's note that our coordinator will then assess, and then we'll find out whether or not we're going to fine you and hold you accountable for really muddying the game. Because it's one thing to slow the game down, and nobody likes that. Like, even the national broadcast would be like, so why is this replay taking so long? Well, because they want to get it right, and I would want them to get it right. I hate that it slows it down too. I like replay being a part of the game, though. That's drama, and I enjoy it. Make it play, make the right play, make the right call. Where we really need to start talking to the officiating crew is, are you making the right call in real time? And is the replay center doing its job and giving you the correct information to make sure that the call on the field is one that is fair to the opposing teams and to the team that committed the penalty, right? Like, there's a difference between targeting and trying to throw your head at the head or neck area, and then what part of your head is hitting that head or neck area, and Are you in the course of making a tackle? Did the dude change his plane before you could stop? I mean, these are all these sort of things are judgment calls for the most part, but they're all to try to protect players, and they're all to try to protect the safety of the game. And this is like gambling. You're protecting the integrity of the game. And I hate watching that, and I know you hate watching that, but it hasn't stopped football teams from doing it because they have not been dissuaded to do such a thing. And I find it fascinating that this is a thing that happens in the SEC primarily, not necessarily in the ACC, not necessarily in the Big 12, not necessarily in the Big 10, which have their own problems. But this at a time when we're also looking around going, who is creating an advantage in a market inefficiency that we don't think is in keeping with sportsmanship, right? So Connor Stallions exploited a market inefficiency where other people weren't videotaping the games. It's also called cheating, right? And it's cheating after you have established the rule. The rule is established. That's why it's cheating. Until you establish a rule, it's just playing the game, right? It is the same thing as subbing late, which is another thing that I really want them to stop, okay? I'm watching an offense sub against the Oklahoma State defense, and the Oklahoma State defense wait until the play clock is damn near zero to sub in for themselves, creating the delay of game for the offense. It's Bush League. You know what Bush League means? It means you play it out in the bushes. It means that nobody's watching. It means it's the kind of thing where no blood, no foul takes place. And that's not what we're doing at the highest level of football. The highest level of football, play the damn game. Play the game straight up. Go win. I don't like seeing these fake injuries any more than you do. And I'm glad to see that Sankey has stepped up and done something about it. And maybe the rest of football will follow suit and just put these rules in. Even if you don't have a problem, right? Like the Big 12 needed to go find out if the Coach communications were being hacked. Turned out to be no, but there's an encryption software update, which felt like it should be standard from the jump, that everybody is using in the Big 12 now. I think you're going to see that across college football. And we're getting to a place where people are saying, hey, it's costing a lot of money to do these things. Cool. Start taking it from the pocketbooks of people that can afford it. Instead of fining people $100,000 for field rushing, fine them $100,000 for this. And they are. They're going to keep both in the conversation. But in as far as this rule is going into effect this weekend, thankfully, before we get LSU Alabama next week, Ole Miss Arkansas is Saturday. We got some real game with some real implications. Texas A&M, South Carolina. You got to get this nipped in the bud before the playoff rankings come out on Tuesday, and that is exactly what Sankey has done. For once, the SEC doesn't feel like the feds. They feel like they're doing us a service, and that's nice.